Welcome to the God Guides Us Religion podcast. Today, we will be exploring one of the most difficult ethical questions in healthcare. Is euthanasia or assisted death warranted, or is it something that should be avoided at all costs? End-of-life care is rightfully a sensitive topic that has no true correct answer if you're not looking at it from a particular perspective. Today, I will be looking at and comparing two different lenses when it comes to this topic, the cognitive rational and the affective emotional. The cognitive will be through the voice of philosopher Immanuel Kant, and the affective will be based on the Catholic Bible's perspective. Kant's view on morality is through duty and universal law, whereas the Bible sees morality through compassion and reverence for life. Starting off with some general terminology to get us familiar with terms used during this podcast. Deontological ethics are actions that are morally wrong or right based on duty and not consequences. Autonomy is the freedom to make rational and moral choices for oneself. The categorical imperative is an action that is only moral if it could become a universal law. From Kant's point of view, deontological ethics provide the grounding of his perspective. He believes that if moral judgments are not to become universal laws that everyone must go by, they must be immoral. I think that Kant would say, since human life has an inherent worth and dignity, euthanasia is immoral. Kant even says, act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. This implies that everyone has dignity simply because they are human and should never be treated as a burden or tool. Kant believed that healthcare workers should provide protection for patients as it is their moral duty, and he emphasized autonomy, which is why honesty is very important in healthcare. Moving on to the affective lens, which I have paired with the opinion of the Bible. To start this section off, I will begin with a scripture passage directly from the Bible. Naked I come from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. NRSV CE, Job 121. This verse demonstrates how the Bible takes a different stance on healthcare in comparison to Kant. The Bible stresses mercy, compassion, and respect for life. This verse supports the Catholic view that humans have no control over life or death because life belongs to and came from God. As Catholics, we are taught that every person is made in the image of God, which therefore means human dignity isn't only based on intelligence or health. CCC 2276 explains that those whose lives are diminished or weakened deserve special respect. This demonstrates that those who are ill, elderly, or near death still have full dignity and should be respected accordingly. When comparing the two views, cognitive from Kant and the affective from the Bible, there is both tension and common ground. Kant is specific with his focus on ethical rules, duty, and universal laws, while Catholicism is more focused on compassion and mercy. Healthcare only being followed by Kant's viewpoint could become cold and mechanical, whereas if it depends only on emotions and feelings, ethical decisions would become inconsistent and subjective, which would not be good either. The Catholic Church does try and balance both perspectives on this scale. Reasoning and logic help people understand the underlying moral truth, while prayer and compassion help people actually live out those truths with humanity and love. What the UCAT does is encourage Catholics to secure human dignity and pray for those suffering. The UCAT explains that any killing of a human, even the abortion of a human from the moment of conception on, is forbidden. UCAT 379. I think that together they make a great combination to show that ethical healthcare should definitely include both mind and heart in every situation. To conclude, I will leave you with some recommendations. First is that people need to practice compassion more by being emotionally present towards those suffering. Being there for someone, listening, and comforting them can really help. A Bible passage that connects to this is, "Be merciful just as your Father is merciful." NRSV CE, Luke 6:36. This connects as it shows how the Bible states you need to be using mercy in your daily life. Secondly, is that people should start to think critically about moral decisions rather than strictly following their emotions and whatever is convenient to them. Third is that people need to remember and reflect on the fact that every single human life has its respective value. Connecting this back to CCC 2279, this passage is about continuing care and respecting the dignity of others regardless of the circumstance. Using the see, discern, decide, reflect model, I will now go through and explain. To begin, we see a society that fears suffering and often treats vulnerable people as burdens rather than a human that deserves the same respect as everybody else. Discerning comes from combining the Bible and Kant's teachings, and third is to decide to treat everybody with the same respect regardless of circumstance. Reflecting on this, we should ask ourselves whether we treated other people as problems or as human beings deserving of respect. Finally, to end off, a quote from Kant: "If the truth shall kill them, let them die."